Hello again, friends. I wanted to share something with you that I think you're going to find real helpful for your bee season next year. What I am talking about today is what you'll find on the horizontalhive.com website, Dr. Leo's website. He has a 7-frame swarm trap, but what's also nice about these particular ones is because they're built with 3/4 inch pine, they double as, to me, the perfect nuc box for Layens hives. So you can make Layens nucs in your apiary next spring using these boxes. So I wanted to show you the one I'm working on right now. I've built a ton of them. I've got them all behind me here. And there's barely enough room to walk in my workshop anymore. If you look around, there's just little tiny paths. It looks like I'm one of the hoarders that you see on television, only it's with bee supplies. So I've got to clear out some space and put it outside after I get everything painted. But check this out. I want to show you this. So I left the inside of this, I left the sidewall off so you could kind of have a look inside. What's really cool about these is these are precisely 3,100 cubic inches, which is the same as a 10-gallon volume. That's exactly what bees are looking for, something in that neighborhood when they're out looking for a new home. So scout bees will be real interested in this particular swarm trap. But what's nice about it is, let's say you catch a swarm, but you don't get there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Because of the size of it, that's okay. You don't have to be there right when the bees get there. They can have some time to build up in here. In fact, if it's a late season swarm, this might be all that they will need. So depending on your climate zone, now here in North Georgia, where I live, this is ideal, and they could probably winter over no problem in one of these. So depending on your climate zone, if you're too far north, you may want to keep them in a warmer Layens hive, like the 2x10s that Dr. Leo recommends. But down here in the south, if you're from maybe North Carolina and further south, you could probably keep them in this 3/4 inch thick walled box over the winter. So it's just something for you to think about. So next spring, what I plan on doing, as I've got a ton of these I've already built, so I'm going to use some for swarm traps, but I'm going to take some right out to the bee yard, and I'm going to put them in place so that I'm ready to make splits next spring. So I can take 1, 2, or 3 frames out of a Layens hive, and I can make as many splits as I can make with those. So I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 frames into one of these 7-frame boxes would be a perfect way to start up some splits next year. Now I wanted to show you just real quick here the possibilities that you might want to consider using these as Layens nucs. So let's say you've got your bee season's underway, and let's just say hypothetically you're getting towards the tail end of your honey flow and you're about to approach the dearth, and you've got a few of these Layens nucs going, okay? And one of the queens dies in the one, and now you're approaching a dearth, and that's not really a great time to make more queens. The best time is right during the honey flow. So you could try to make a queen, or if you wanted to, just real quick, keep in mind these are 7-frame, and here is a standard Layens hive. Now this is made out of 2x10s. It holds 14 frames. So you could take 7-frame nuc with another 7-frame nuc that's queenless, and you could put them into one of these. So just so that you can kind of work things out, that's one solution. That's not the only solution, but that's just one possibility. So after your splitting season's done, sometimes you have to combine in order to keep the strength of the colonies going. So you don't want to have 2 weak colonies, and if you did, you could easily do the same procedure. You could take 2 weak colonies and you could combine them into one of these 14-frame Layens hives, which is a standard hive, and they're going to do just great in it. So again, that's really cool. So I'm really excited about the potential that these 7-frame Layens swarm traps have, because they double as not just a swarm trap, but they also double as a Layens nuc, and I think this is a perfect way for you to make your splits next year using these swarm traps, but you can use them as nuc boxes for Layens hives. Okay? So now here's something else that just popped into my head that you might be able to do as well. So you know that these are, you know that these hold 7 frames. If you wanted to, you could modify these just by adding a divider board down the middle. Okay, so that divider board would take up the space of a frame. So then you would have 3 frames on each side. You could use these as queen castles, you know, little baby nucs, that's what I call them. So you could take 1 frame of bees, put in 2 empty frames on each side. So a frame of bees here, a frame of bees here, a divider down the middle, and now you could start running 2 little nucs inside one of these. So if you didn't want to use this entrance like I have, I've got the 4-inch slit cut here, you could just use the single hole like I've got on these. And you could put 1 here and 1 here and put a divider board down the middle, and now you could have 2 3-frame Layens nucs running together. So each one of these boxes really could double as, you know, as 2. So that's just one way that you can manage your apiary using the Layens hive system, which I think is superior than the Langstroth one is. Not saying Langstroth is horrible, but between the two, I think this one is going to do you a lot more good for your bees. Kind of keep that in mind for next year, okay? So maybe it's too late to make those kind of splits and stuff now, but next year, you know, this is a good rainy day project or a good cold day. Come out to the man cave. If you don't have one, you know, maybe make one in your garage or basement or something like that. But come on out and make some of these nucs for yourself for next year, and you're going to have lots of Layens hives and colonies going for next year. Just a couple ways that you can approach this and have a really good, successful apiary using the Layens hive system. So don't forget just a couple things. The way I've modified mine is a little bit different than Dr. Leo's. I don't use solid frames that touch. I've got 3/8 of an inch space between each of these frames, because these are actually Langstroth frames that I just cut shorter to the same dimensions as the Layens hives. And the only reason why I do that modification is because I use these beetle blasters. I put these in to control hive beetles, and I just put a little bit of diatomaceous earth. Or you can use hydrolyzed lime dust, which is the same stuff they line baseball fields with. It just dries them out. It's a lot easier to handle than oil, so I recommend doing that instead of oil. And all I do is I place these in between the frames. And I've got 3/8 of an inch bee space above for the bees to walk around, and they'll chase the beetles into those traps. Now, if I find a better way of controlling hive beetles, I'll get rid of these, and I'll go with the solid frames that Dr. Leo uses. So for now, that's just the only thing I'm trying to, you know, control is my hive beetle situation. I really do lose more colonies to hive beetles than anything, and that includes Varroa. Varroa is not a big problem when you do natural management techniques, okay? Varroa is really not a big deal. I mean, it's serious, it'll wipe out a colony, but if you're doing it naturally, and you let your hives and colonies swarm and split themselves, Varroa is not as big a threat as the hive beetle. And now I don't lose a ton of hives to hive beetles, but I do lose some, and I have to really keep on them. And so that's how I control them. So I just put these in here. The bees will chase the beetles into that trap, and then, you know, problem solved. I just got to make sure I monitor that the bees don't propolize the hole shut, because if they do that, then the beetles don't go in. So next year, friends, start thinking ahead, and maybe on a rainy day or on a cold day, depending where you live, you can put these boxes together pretty quick. I built 20 in just about a day, maybe a day and a half. So they don't take real long to build. You don't need a lot of materials, and they're really handy. I'm really excited about these for next year, and I think you're going to really like them too. So I hope you found this helpful. So keep in mind that these are not only swarm traps, but they're going to make great Layens nucs for next year. they've got the perfect volume for doing that. So friends, I hope you're having a great season this year. I'll see you next time. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Enjoy beekeeping.